This video is going to be titled 3 Musts to Multiply Your Success, or 3 Points of Focus to Multiply Your Success. Now you can replace the word success with money to multiply your money, to multiply your market share, to multiply your business. You can put whatever word you want in, but if you want to grow, if you want to expand, and if you want to multiply, this is the video for you. So if you've been struggling in your business, or you've been stable, but it's been stable at a small level and too small a level for what you want, if your vision is bigger, this video is for you. Okay, so these 3 musts are so simple. It doesn't matter where you're at in your journey. It doesn't matter what experience you have. These 3 musts are going to help you. I'm a big believer in simplifying. I became an entrepreneur in 2010. I've built businesses all over the world. I've helped one company go from 8 countries to 50 countries. We had 15 million users and was doing 3 billion euros a year in turnover. I've seen it all, I've heard it all. There's literally nothing you can tell me that I haven't seen or heard. There's no excuse you can give me. There's no argument to what I'm about to tell you either. Okay, what I'm going to tell you is the 3 most simple points of focus that you must focus on and engage in and commit to if you want to multiply your business. Now, you might have heard that word and it might have sounded strange to you, multiply, because most people don't talk about multiplying. They talk about, how do I grow my business? How do we do 10% more this year, 20% more? And that 10x thing is a bit overused. Grant Cardone is doing it a long time ago, and everyone's familiar with 10x rule and all that. But I'm a big believer in multiplying your business. I've multiplied my business. I've helped many of my clients multiply theirs. I've had companies double and triple their revenue from month to month within a year, 2 years, 3 years. And not just small money. I'm talking like hundreds of millions to 200 million to 300 million to 400 million within a couple of years. And these 3 musts are the key points of focus. Okay, so make sure you stay to the end, because all 3 are important, and without the 3rd one, you've no business. So make sure you stay to the end. So the first point of focus, and again, your brain is going to say this sounds too simple. It is simple. Anyone who complicates it don't know what they're talking about. Simplification leads to multiplication. Most businesses, they get too big and too many departments and too many leaders and too many managers and too many systems. They lose the point of focus. So here's number 1 you have to start with today. Conversations. All business is conversations. So this is the first must. This is the first point of focus for you. And with each point of focus, there's a key part within that I'm going to give you as well. So if you have more conversations, you are going to grow your business. You're going to multiply your business. So how do you have more conversations? The mistake most people make, and they say, I hear it all the time, I'm talking to loads of people, is not you talking to loads of people. The key ingredient to conversations is questions. Are you asking enough questions? Are you asking the right questions? Are you asking good questions? And then most importantly, are you listening to the answers? Okay, this is why most people fall short. A lot of people in business, you're watching this, you have your own business, or you're in sales, you're growing a business. You're talking to people every day, but that's the problem. You're talking. Okay, questions are the answer. The best leaders, the best high performers, they ask more questions more than they make statements and declarations. They're always curious. I always say curiosity leads to clarity, and clarity leads to confidence. You have to be curious. So the first part of multiplying your business, the first point of focus is asking good questions so you can develop conversations. So remember, conversations are king. For me, with all my clients, we build something immediately called an active conversation list. And this is something I learned early on in my career. And we add every single day more names to the active conversation list. That's all you have to do. Every day you add a name to your active conversation list. You should intentionally be seeking out high quality conversations. It's one of the biggest forms of leverage in business. Higher quality conversations with influential people who can buy what you have to sell. More importantly, influential people who are looking for exactly what you have. For me as an advisor, strategist, coach, mentor, whatever you want to call me, speaker, okay, all the names don't mean anything. One of the key things is can I demonstrate my value? And for that reason, when I demonstrate my value, people who are seeking me can recognize I'm the one they're looking for. I always say, I'm only looking for people who are looking for me. I am looking for people who are looking for me. I'm not looking for everyone. When I started out, I wanted everyone. I can help everyone. And I want to help everyone. I don't want to help everyone. I want to work with people who want to work with me. I am seeking people who are seeking me. So for that, I demonstrate all the time who I am and what I do, so the people who are looking for me can recognize me and say, oh, I want what he has. That's the key. Start conversations, add to them every single day. Ask good questions, listen, find out what people find valuable. Because you can't be of value to someone unless you know what they find valuable. And if you do that, you're going to get to number 2, the second point of focus to multiply your business. And that second point of focus is relationships. So all business is conversation, and good conversation leads to relationships. And the key thing about relationships is, number 1, they require time, and they also require consistency. Unfortunately, today most people are looking for the quick hit. They're looking for the quick sale. They're trying to make the commission. They're trying to make money fast, which I get it. You can make money fast. But how you make money fast is by having better quality conversations with the right people who are looking for you, asking good questions, listening, gathering intelligence for what they find valuable, and then being of value to that person. When you do that, you build a relationship. But it requires time and it requires consistency. You got to show up over and over and over and over again. Now, what that value is for that person can vary. For some people, it's the education, the knowledge you bring. For some people, it's the entertainment. You know, we all have friends who are good fun, okay? For some people, it's being a support, being someone we look up to, we admire, someone that's there for us. There's loads of different reasons people can find you valuable. Okay, just because you care, just because you're aware, just because you're a visionary, maybe you don't complain, but you're always talking about building and creating. People find that valuable. You have to know who you are first so that you can live in your lane. You can be who you're meant to be effortlessly, and therefore you're going to naturally attract relationships that merge and connect with that version of you, with that real you. If you try to be somebody else, you're attracting relationships that aren't you because you're forcing yourself to be somebody. You're not being authentically you, so therefore your relationships can't be authentic. So therefore you can't build it. You can't be consistent. So when you're building a relationship, make sure people know who you are. I did a video previously called The 3 Standards for Productive and Fulfilling Life, and one of them was truth. So go and watch that video if you haven't. We'll put that video here, click on it, watch it after this. Understand how important truth is. The truth of who you are, the lane you're in, because that's how are other people going to recognize you and want to be with you and work with you if you're not authentically you. So that is the second point of focus. First we had conversations. If you have enough conversations and you have them at a high level and you bring value and you listen and you're a good person and you have integrity, it's going to develop into a relationship. Once you have the relationship, number 3 comes in. And the third point of focus is the exchange of value. And the exchange of value is key because that is where business gets done. That is all business is. Conversations that lead to relationships that lead to an exchange of value. If you focus on that and nothing else, you are going to multiply your business. You're going to have way more success. So we've done conversations, we've done relationships. Now, how do you exchange value? How do you bring value? Well, it leads back to what we just talked about. If you're asking good questions and you're listening, you identify what people find valuable. You cannot be of value to someone until you know what they find valuable. So that's why step 1 and 2 are so important. And when you've done that and you know what they find value, if you are being yourself, the value is going to happen naturally. You're never going to have to force it. I always say to people, I'm not in the convincing business. I don't want to convince anybody of anything. I just want to be me every day. And if I can be me like I am now, this is me. This is me talking from my heart, from my mind. There's no script, there's no teleprompter, it's just me talking. If I can just be me over, and this is how I've built my business over the last 16 years. When people hear me, they recognize me. When I say they recognize me, they recognize the truth in what I'm saying, the authenticity, the message, and some people connect with that. The amount of clients I've got from when I've been on radio, when I've been on podcasts, when I've been on other people's YouTube, and some of you are listening to this are going to say, I like what he's saying because I'm being me. So I'm showing what I find valuable when I speak, and other people will recognize that, and then they're going to say, okay, let's have a conversation. And if we have that conversation, it's going to lead to a relationship. And then that relationship, again, if I'm being authentic and they're being authentic, the value exchange is going to happen. But what's the piece that the value requires? Because remember, the conversations require what? Questions. The relationships require what? Time and consistency. What does the value require? The value requires skill. That's how you deliver the value. Once you have the skills to pay the bills, you gotta have the skill. And what's the number 1 skill in business? Now, if you watch me for a while, you know the answer. Comment the answer if you know it. It's influence. The number one skill in business is influence, the ability to move people with language. That's what being of value requires. You have to have the skill to make the exchange. You have to be able to communicate in the right way. You have to be able to lead people in the right way. You have to be able to move people in a direction, and that requires skill. You have to be able to present your offer, your solution, your outcome, your transformation, whether that's a product or a service. You have to have the awareness to know when is the right time, how to do it, what's the language, what's the body language, what's the tonality, what's my system, how do I execute. That's the skill. To bring an exchange, to create an exchange of value, you have to have skill. And that's why you have to be obsessed with your performance. You have to seek mastery. And that's why most people don't multiply their success. That's why when some people hear, oh, Aidan said I can multiply my business, but they're skeptical. It's because they've always doing what they're always doing. They're working more on the job than they work on themselves. They're not working on the things that matter. They're not working on how to have better quality conversations. They're not working on better quality relationships. And they're not working on how to have the skill to exchange the value. They're just doing the job. And that's why most people are stuck, most people are small, most people are miserable, because they keep struggling, because they're not focused on what moves the needle. Now, how many companies spend millions on marketing, but they don't train their sales staff how to speak and interact and build relationships? It's insane. That's why it's so simple. That's why the bar is so low. If you can focus on relationships at scale, conversation, building your active conversation lists, caring, bringing value, being a person who's interested, not interesting, and having something real, having a real product or service, a real solution, and having it packaged in a way that people can receive it effortlessly, that it makes sense. For me, it's about being so valuable that when you're so valuable, like for me, for example, people say yes to me before I even make an offer. People come and say, I want to work with you, before they even know what it is I'm offering. They say, I just want to work with you. I've heard about you. I've heard what you've done. I've listened to you for so long. I've followed you for so long. I've seen the results you've got for people. I just want to work with you. When you become so valuable that people say yes before you offer, that's phenomenal. But until you get to that point, and even when you're at that point, you have to have a good offer ready. You have to have it ready. And that's the skill. That's the skill to make the exchange possible. So that's today's video. They're the 3 points of focus to multiply your business, to multiply your success. You have to have something to focus on. I don't know you, but more than likely you're focused on the wrong stuff. Tell me in the comments, what have you been focused on? Let me know. Tell me. Put it in the comments. This is what I've been focused on. If there's something else you focus on that works, I also want to hear it. Let me know. But for me, if you're thinking about how can I make more money? How can I have more success? How can I grow my business faster? How can I multiply? This is what you have to do. Conversations, relationships, and an exchange of value. It doesn't get more simple than that, but it requires you become more. You can have a great product and you can have a great service, but this requires you become more. And that's why most people avoid it. Everybody's comfortable. You have to get uncomfortable. But it's worth it. I promise you, it's worth it. If you found this valuable, make sure you subscribe so you catch the next video, you get notified straight away, and I'll see you in the next one.